Dr. Dušan Buran, thank you so much for finding the time to speak to us.
With pleasure.
So could you explain why you decided to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Slovak Velvet Revolution by covering the artworks in your gallery?
We prepared, instead of a classical exhibition collecting various items, celebrating these anniversary, we decided to go a bit more dynamic way, and we intervene into the current collection presentations, which means sometimes we add some new artworks to given installations, or we sort of manipulate the known artworks being already part of these exhibitions. And in the end, of course, having all these spread all over the gallery, you need some uniting idea of this. And this is something which connects the period before the Velvet Revolution, 89, and the current situation of the Slovak culture. And the main topic is censorship, attempts by the ruling politicians or by the dominant elite in the past to protect the audiences from, let's say, big influence of free artistic ideas.
So did you have any response from the Slovak Ministry of Culture, Šimkovičová's, anything? How was this covering up censorship of the artworks received?
Not really, because officially it is still the celebration of this anniversary. And it's, in a way, it's very sophisticated. If I won't say double-coded, that some people simply take it very neutrally, like the National Gallery is celebrating the 35 years from the Velvet Revolution, and of course censorship and similar phenomenons are very present from the very, very early stages of art generally. So there is not that much the official figures of the Ministry of Culture would protest against. And also individually going to the exhibition, you simply see covered sculptures or covered pictures, canvases. And then there is always explanation text, but rather referring to the general topic of, it is called officially the freedom longs forever, and non-spoken suffix. But generally the main reason of organizing this are the programs connected to this. So we have every week some lecture by curators, starting with my exposition with Middle Ages and the whole problematic of iconoclasm, when in the 8th and 9th century in the past, the art became for the first time a big subject of very heavy social and religious movement, questioning art generally, and what role it plays.
And in 2024, is there any more, not so subtle censorship that you as people of the culture feel happening right now from the direction of the Ministry of Culture?
Not directly. Well, to be correct, there are not that many particular motives the Slovak Ministry of Culture would protect the art being spoken freely or being expressed freely, but having experience in the field, you can read the tendency. And one of the reasons why we decided to do this project was to wake up the general public, or at least the cultural sector, to show that the steps of censorship and stopping artists to be free, or because censorship has many faces, including the self-protection, self-censoring. So we tried to make this topic to be more present in the public discourse.
And this topic seemed very present in the Slovak National Gallery, because you see the staff walking around with badges saying culture strike. Can you explain more what is the culture strike in Slovakia right now?
Well, the Ministry of Culture started to, for instance, exchange the directors of leading institutions such as Slovak National Theatre, Slovak National Gallery, and Slovak National Museum recently, and which wouldn't be that big deal. Well, it's a person. Some of these people were in their function already for years, so that is not the point. It's much more that we still haven't really heard any explanation for these changes. And of course, hand in hand with this procedure, there is an attempt to bound the institutions, maybe tendentially change the programs, especially critical ones, because both Slovak National Theatre through the dramaturgy and Slovak National Gallery through the exhibition program and publication have established themselves over last decades to so-called critical institutions, which is basically the concept of well-known Polish art historian Piotr Piotrowski from several decades ago. And I'm quite sure you have the experience too, but there is this tendency just to control the institutions and to comment in a very strange way the programs, which used to be very autonomous, no matter who the minister was. So basically all these institutions enjoyed a big portion of freedom over the last 35 years. And suddenly we still didn't face any like direct censorship or any blocking us from doing several even critical projects. But you see these slight tendency comments by official figures towards quite particular artists, be these their LGBT background or be these like political or historical explanations from, let's say, the Slovak state in the period of the Second World War. And through interventions like this, we tried to bring more sensibility to the cultural sector and the general audience of the Slovak culture.
And with this current atmosphere of not very clear censorship, but a shift in a narrative, would you say the very recent announcement by the Minister of Culture to put Slovak language at the forefront of the culture with ignoring the minorities, would you say that chimes with the whole narrative, or is that an entirely different matter?
That is interesting question, because it could look like dangerous stuff seeing from outside, because it becomes such a big place in the media. But we have used to these, let's say, bubbles of the official figures from various ministries and from the coalition they are quite keen on putting this to the front pages of the newspapers, covering other issues they are working on. And you know, all these problems in the cultural institutions in Slovakia, sometimes they simply are these like covering strategies, because a lot of journalists are commenting on this. A lot of people are talking about, and you simply fill the room with such topics, and sometimes and very often we see no results of this. So because after a few weeks you have fulfilled your mission, and then suddenly you jump on another such a shocking topic. But generally, there is a lot of words and not that many acts. So I can't only guess how far this goes, but we have this experience already.
And finally, talking to your ex-boss, Alexandra Kusha, who was famously dismissed from the director to senior curator at your gallery, she said her role and your role is to keep the culture alive. How do you do it?
This position of being cultural figures on the barricade, it's nothing we wanted to be. And also one has to say that the Slovak National Gallery, unfortunately, is maybe the only institution who is so strong to be united in this protest mood. Because also the Slovak National Theatre, the Slovak National Museum, the awareness of this tendency which started with the change in their director positions, I think they are not the meaning of this is there not as clear as in the National Gallery, and in the end I think we could remain the only institution being these strong and in clear opposition to the Ministry of Culture, without really having this concept prepared. So we will see how it ends.
Dušan, thank you so much for speaking to us in your position at the Slovak National Gallery as the chief troublemaker.
We are on the blacklist anyway, so this is the freedom of speech is one of the few instruments we have remaining.
Thank you.
Thank you too.